Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving in to the world of color and color harmony. I'm going to teach you how colors work together to really transform your home's decor from bland to brilliant. And in this video, we're going to explore the art of complementary and analogous or adjacent colors. And most importantly, I'll tell you how to use them to create stunning color palettes in your home. Some practical tips as well. And before we get into it, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons and press that notification bell if you want to stay up to date with all of our videos. So this thing is called the color wheel. This is your guide to harmony. The color wheel is an extremely valuable tool for understanding color relationships, one that I use every single day, and I even got a pin with a color wheel on it that is interactive. Got it on Amazon. Essentially, it's a circular arrangement of colors. You have your primary colors in red, yellow, and blue. Then you have your secondary colors in between them, orange, green, and purple. And then there's the tertiary colors, which are actually combinations of primary and secondary colors, just to give you even more granular control on your color defining. So now that we know what the colors are, let's talk about how they are paired together traditionally. So the first pairing is the dynamic duo of complementary colors. And those are the colors that sit opposite each other on the color wheel. They create a very bold and vibrant contrast. It essentially doesn't get more contrasty than this, which is nice because it's dynamic and exciting, but it can also be a little overbearing in some cases. So you just want to pick and choose where you use these colors. Some examples include the classic red and green Christmas color pairing. You have blue and orange, which is another great one. And then of course you have yellow and purple. You might notice some of these color schemes in things like sports as well, because those are the type of logos that maybe want some eye-catching complementary color pairings. So you can use these complementary colors to add a pop of energy and excitement to your space. However, it is important to use them in moderation to avoid overwhelming the room. So you might not even want to really focus on a complementary paint color pairing. Maybe you just have a couple of pillows that are opposite on the color wheel just to give you a bit of a relationship there. Or if you want to use one of the colors a lot more, make sure you use the other one just a little bit, like an 80-20 sort of ratio. Moving on to analogous colors, which is the harmonious trio. Analogous colors are those that are adjacent to each other on their color wheel. Essentially, they're neighbors. You got 3 in a row, which help create a more calm and harmonious atmosphere. So you can kind of think of this as the opposite of complementary colors, because instead of going all the way across, you're just going side to side, next door. So something like purple, pink, and red, red, orange, and yellow, things like that. Analogous colors can be used to create a more soothing, cohesive look in your home. They're a great choice for bedrooms, living rooms, and other spaces you want to create a relaxed atmosphere and ambiance. And I do find that it is easier for someone to put together an adjacent color scheme on their own versus going more complementary. By nature, it's going to be more passive feeling and chilled out. So you're not really as much at risk of going a little too overboard with your complementary colors, for example. I would say analogous color schemes are pretty beginner friendly. Do you want your own custom palette pyramid? Well, we offer it as a service. Link in the description down below if you want to get a custom 3, 6, or 12 color palette from me delivered to you. Check it out. A semi-hybrid between the two would be split complementary colors, which is a more balanced complementary approach. And the way this works is essentially you choose a base color, and then what you do is you select 2 colors that are next to its complement. So essentially you're creating a really skinny triangle. And what this does is it takes your complementary pairing at its core and then just softens it ever so slightly by using its neighbors rather than the complementary color itself. Split complementary colors can add some complexity and sophistication to your color palette, and while they aren't quite as dynamic as complementary pairings, they do give you a similar effect, but it just feels a little more interesting. Let's talk about triadic colors, which is the bold trio. And this is essentially an equilateral triangle on the color wheel. Triadic colors are 3 colors that are evenly spaced on the color wheel, and they really create a vibrant and energetic atmosphere. What's great about triadic color schemes is they aren't very predictable. They're not exactly complementary, but I do find this to be probably the most exciting and dynamic color scheme of the bunch, but it's one I rarely tend to use in residential kind of color schemes because it's very dynamic. I mean, if you think of the primary colors themselves, red, yellow, and blue, that's a triadic pairing, and it would look really, really Lego-y if you were to use that in your home. I just think of Fisher-Price toys, like that kind of thing. Orange, green, and purple is another one. So you can just see that when these colors are implemented, it can be a very big statement that you're making, which could be useful in some circumstances, but I would more so see this in more the commercial sector, in workspaces, not necessarily at home. So tread softly with triadic colors. And then probably the most passive of the bunch would be Monochromatic Colors, which is a timeless classic. Another pretty easy to implement color scheme. And when you hear the word monochromatic, some of you might think grayscale. So just everything's gray. But really, it just means one chroma, one color of different shades of the same hue. Essentially, you start with blue, and then maybe you have a light blue, a dark blue, a more shaded blue, a more tinted, kind of milky, creamy blue, different levels of saturation and intensity. And similar to Analogous Colors, I find monochromatic color palettes to be very calming and just classy, but they can also be used to create a dramatic and visually striking effect if you are leaning into those more saturated, punchy versions of whatever color you decide. So there's a lot of customization you can do even though you're just really using one color. And of course there could be other colors in the room, like you don't have to paint your floors blue either in this example, but the predominant hue that's being used would be that one. So here's some tips on using color harmony in your home. Start with a neutral base. A neutral base like your grays, your beiges, your whites. It can provide a foundation for your color palette. So you're not having to focus on filling in all the gaps. The base is there, and then you can add on top of it with whatever color scheme you're going with. Second one is, of course, use accents.
It's a strawberry.
You can introduce these pops of color with accents like pillows, artwork, rugs, little decor pieces. You don't even need to worry about paint necessarily. You can kind of bring these colors in the form of other objects, which is really nice to change them in and out when you get sick of whatever colors you're going with. Next, you got to consider the room's function. Different colors can evoke different moods. So those calming colors like your blues and your greens and maybe your purples are great in bedrooms and bathrooms, while your more energetic colors like red and orange and maybe even yellow are great for playrooms and maybe living rooms, places that you want to have fun and you just kind of want to be a little more lively. And of course, experiment and have fun. The best way to find the perfect color palette for your home is to experiment and see what works for you. Understanding this concept of color harmony and putting colors together, it can really transform your home. By mastering complementary, analogous, split complementary, triadic, and monochromatic colors, you can create a stunning and visually appealing space. Remember, the key is to find a balance that reflects your personal style and creates a home that you really enjoy. And I'll see ya on the next video.